past, fatal heart impacts, past painful scars. In fact, I blast tasteful bars and pass. I back up my actions, fact, don't ask, grab reactions, jacked, attack with every word, then act with class as they hear me snap. I got nothing to lose, cause I fought and felt the bruise. Now I'm not the one confused, call the shots and they produce. I ain't lost, I'm finally loose, pick a new silver excuse. I need the views to boost me to a new abuse of being used. Everybody wants a piece now, y'all can rest in peace now. You're dead to me, so peace out. Remember you're discreet now, get ready for defeat now.
Alrighty, hello everybody. This is Q's show here, and now, whenever we last left off with this series, we had Deku. Now, at the age of 14, he fought his uncle Ryan. Now, these are two of the current cures who possess the removal rate of 100, and possibly beyond. Now, Deku and his uncle, they did fight, and in the fight, Deku just narrowly beat his uncle, as there was a deal made. If Deku won, he could learn other fighting styles, besides what the cure do have at their disposal. Now, Deku's grandfather, he did authorize this, and Deku, he set out on a 5-year journey, where he went through some of the most intense training on the planet. Now, he did return back to his father's dojo, meeting him, and then going to set off to the Kure village in Japan. Now, I believe it was 500 kilometers. Crap, I've been in this position before. I think it was... I think it was 310, somewhere around there, 312. Anyways, I don't really know kilometers very well. Now, it's 500 kilometers away from Tokyo. So 312 miles, I believe. I don't do math very well with this. I remember I got close to it last time, but I did not get it right. Now, for anyone confused watching this in a playlist, look at the dates on the videos. Now, with that being said, we do actually pick up with Deku, where after going for, let's just say, a flight, he does land in Kure village. And he is quite surprised. Many people, they are actually looking at him, and they do seem to be somewhat troubled by Deku's appearance. Now, Deku, he can tell this. The fact of the matter is, Deku is the only cure in the village who does appear to have white tips on the end of his hair. So, it's not really that big of a deal that he would stick out. And there is actually the fact that Deku, he's actually able to see most of the cure here. Some of them, they do seem to be somewhat strong. He knows that the cure removal rate is higher in number nowadays. In fact, it's quite rare for them to be born low, or even have a removal rate of less than, I believe, 30 or 40%. Now, Deku, he is still somewhat intrigued. He completely forgot this was going on. The Kure, they're currently doing a celebration. It's, well, a festival and a fighting tournament. It usually would take place every year, and it seems like he may have just gotten home in time to participate in the fighting tournament, since the festival, it seems to be already halfway over. Now, whenever Deku, he does actually go to sign in for the fighting tournament, he does just put him down as the white-haired Kure. And this is actually where people, they do somewhat start to draw slots. Now, we do actually have where it's been announced, as Ryan has come onto the stage, that he is still the top competitor. And he's won the last couple tournaments within the last few years. And that Ryan here, he is looking for somebody to challenge him. Whoever wins in the fighting tournament this year will face off against him. And it will be quite simple. Now, This is actually where the tournament it does go on, and everybody they do pay careful attention to everything. As there is even whenever Deku he does walk onto the stage, and people they do see him. Deku he's hiding his face with a jacket, and there's even the fact that he does even have his hood on. Deku's hiding his hood or his face with a hood, and then there's the fact that he hasn't taken his hands out of his jacket pockets. And the kure who does face off against Deku, they actually do go to bring their hands up. And Deku can tell exactly what style they're using, as they do inform Deku that he needs to get ready to fight. Now, Deku he actually does go to just stand there. And there is whenever the kure does go to rush him. And Deku he actually does go to step forwards. Now, whenever Deku he does go to step forwards, and the kure does actually go to try and throw out their fist directly towards Deku, Deku he actually does go to spin his body around, bring up his left leg and directly smashing it right into this kure's fist. Before Deku, with his other leg, he does go to jump up into the air. As he does go to do so, he does go to actually bring his leg up high before smashing it down as hard as he can onto the kure's face, or the top of their head. As the kure immediately upon taking the blunt force trauma, they do actually go moving down. And Deku, as that all does happen, he does go to land and go to step backwards to his right, as the kure does go to hit the ground. Now, a lot of people did see that, and it did seem to be quite surprising. As well, this guy, he just took them down. That was, it couldn't have been, that seemed too fast. Now, there actually was, well, the demon who did see that. And he was sitting there with Inko and Deku's sister, Yuya. Now, it seemed to be quite strange. And there was even Saki. She, well, hasn't seen a kure move like that before. And it did almost seem abnormal. Now, many battles do rage on, as whenever Deku does get to his second one, that one does seem like a wash as well. He doesn't remove his hands from his jacket, and he just faces off against an opponent that ends in a few simple moves. They go to rush him, and Deku he does actually switch his strategy. They tried using a similar style. However, whenever Deku did go to jump into the air and try to kick their leg out of the way, the person actually got to try and break up their other fist. And there actually was whenever Deku, whenever he did go to bring his left leg outwards, he did go to actually bring up his right leg, blocking the attack before actually going to spin his other leg around and go to kick them right in their jaw, dislocating it. As Deku, whenever he does go to land back on the ground, he does go to rush forwards, before using a high knee kick and smashing them as hard as he can in their gut with his knee. As the person do actually go to step backwards, sliding, before actually going to fall down onto their knees out of breath. Now, the kure is going to activate their removal, and go to stand back to face against Deku. And Deku just looking at them, he can tell that this is already still going to be pretty easy. The removal rate, it's gotta be, what, 40? 45 maybe? Somewhere around 40. Now, Deku he's just trying to wonder. It's gotta be less than that though. Maybe. Now, they do go to rush Deku, as Deku can tell that they quickly do increase in speed. And the moment that actually has happened, Deku, he does actually go to at least somewhat go into a bit of a stance. Deku bending down with his hand still in his pocket as he does get ready. Now, Deku he does do one simple thing, as he does go to directly get into a running stance, stepping forwards and basically lifting off with an amazing burst of speed. Everybody watching as Deku does immediately just shoulder check this person as hard as he can in the chest. And Deku does actually elbow them with his elbow. Now, the person, whenever they do get hit, they actually do drop out of their kure form. And they do go to take some steps backwards, before actually going to cough up blood and go to fall over. Now, it does seem very interesting. There's a kure fighting without his hands? Now, many people wondered what this was. And there were actually others. They seemed pretty interested. The crowd, they got more fired up with this mysterious fighter. And then there was even Ryan. He almost jumped into the ring just to, well, take this guy on. If he can take out a Kure with 40% removal, he must have been using his own. So it's gotta be curious. Come on. You better be a strong fighter. Now, you do actually have, whenever the final match has come up. And so far, the hooded warrior hasn't even brought his hands out. There was only that one shoulder move, and that was about it. Now, there actually is whenever Ryan, after the final match is get announced, he does get actually sleep into the ring. And people, they do stare at him, as Ryan basically does announce to them that they already know who exactly is going to win. The other fighter for the finals, they almost lost their last match. However, this one here, he's been able to maintain composure for far too long. Now, Ryan, he does would actually turn his head, informing Izuku to take off his, well, hood. Now, people are surprised to hear that name. Izuku? Wait, isn't that the kure who's left the village? Yeah, the one who his father beat Ryan. Now, Deku, he actually is going to do something a bit more extra, as he is going to pull out his hands and going to bring up, well, them to the top of the hood. Or, well, the top part of the hoodie in front of his neck. Before Deku is going to rip the hoodie apart and reveal his entire face and body. Now, everybody, they do stare at him, as Deku, he does ask exactly what gave him away. You're kidding me. The way you move, that step on your right foot, I could never miss that. Now, Deku, he's kind of surprised. Apparently, his uncle pays more attention during their fights than he realized. So that's a bit of a problem now. So, it's been a couple years. It has, Izuku, and you still look like a little bitch. Lovely, uncle. Now, Deku, he does actually get in a stance. Ryan, he does get into one, as he does at least have one fist up, and the other fist is actually pointed down. And the way a tiger palm is, he has his fingers split apart, however, he does at least have them somewhat jagged. And Deku can tell that. He's actually trying to at least flex his hands that way. He knows that kure technique. That's an assassination style. So, he's not trying to fool around here. Now, Deku, he does actually somewhat get into his own stance. As Ryan, he does watch that. The way Deku's stance is quite simple. Deku, he does actually go to somewhat, well, go to at least spread his legs apart. And go to do a bit of more of a sumo stance, with the way he is standing. Now, the moment Deku does go to do that, he does actually look straight at his uncle. And Ryan, he does get ready, as Deku, he does at least keep one hand behind his back. Now, this is actually where Deku's grandfather, he does go to stand up. The moment this man does stand, everybody, they do immediately fall silent. The roar of the crowd as these two were about to begin a battle. It's, well, crazy to them. The fact that these two, they're, well, people know who they are. The main branch, the main cures, the two with 100%. They're going to battle. Now, this is a big deal to people. These two are the embodiment of the physical limit the kure have been pushed to. 100% of the removal. These aren't humans fighting in that ring. These are demigods. Now, the moment Deku's grandfather did go to stand up, people fell silent. And, as that thought did course through their mind, he did at least go to bring up one of his hands. as he does go to turn his fist and go into a chopping motion, as he actually does activate his removal and swing down his hand. Now, as a small blade of air does shoot out and slice into the ring, there actually is whenever Deku and Ryan, they do go rushing towards each other. Now, Ryan was using the removal, and Deku, he wasn't. However, there is actually something that does surprise people. The moment these two actually meet and clash, from looking down at the line that was cut, Deku is actually stepping over it. And people are very surprised. As Deku, the moment he actually did get up close to his uncle, he did actually go to bring up his elbow and go to slam him as hard as he can in one of his pectorals. However, Ryan, he did actually go to try and bust Deku in the face with a leg thrust, trying to perform a heel kick to his chest. Now, after Deku was basically able to grab his leg and go to swing it before actually going to do a side punch with his elbow, Ryan, he did actually go to bring up one of his hands, and he did go to try and aim directly for Deku's face to punch it. However, Deku did just go to dodge it away swiftly before actually going to bring up his hand, slamming it into his uncle's ear with a flat palm, before actually going to grab him by the side of his head and go to actually try to pull him down towards the ground, and flip him upwards and into the air. Now, the moment Deku did actually go to pick up his uncle, people were very surprised. As Deku, he does go to try and slam him down, but Ryan, he does go to try and grab onto Deku's left arm. And he does try to actually get into a wrestling move, or a wrestler's hold. Now, Deku, after slamming his uncle down to the ground, he's just going to pick him up. And people do watch as Deku does casually lift this man with one arm before going to actually try and punch him while he's still holding on. And it is actually very surprising, as there actually is whenever Ryan, he does going to swing out one of his legs and okay, kick it across Deku's face. And Deku does actually get sent flying off of him and to the back burner. Ryan quickly jumping up back onto his feet and rushing for Deku to attack, as he is going to try and swing out a punch. Deku actually going to bring up his fist and block it, as he does going to actually push or pull his uncle with momentum. Now, Deku is using every ounce of his training to fight his uncle. And his uncle, yeah, he's been pumping a bit more iron since his loss. So he himself is actually stronger. And people, they do actually see this play out. Ryan is the strongest kure. And this boy's, well, fighting against him? That's Inko's son. Does he even really stand a chance here? Now, people do watch the battle. It does seem even. Deku has the speed advantage while Ryan has the strength. And then there's actually whenever Ryan, he does start to overpower Deku. Deku, he's slowing down. The way the match is going, Ryan turned to tactics. Something he doesn't do. He's making sure not to let Deku get too far away to gain speed or momentum. That's what most of his fighting styles he's seen so far have been based off of. Now, there is actually whenever Ryan, he does actually go to grab his uncle by, or his nephew, by the top part of his right arm and go to actually slam his fist down to his guts. As Deku does actually lunge forwards as all the air does get knocked out of him. Now, Deku, he was flexing, trying to hold the armored skin, or the armored body. However, yeah, that punch, it immediately broke through his defenses. And Deku, he realized that he does need to train that technique some more. As the moment Ryan did break through it, Deku immediately went to go bring up his hands and smash them down to the top of his uncle's head. As the moment Deku did go to do a sledgehammer, Ryan, he did actually go to look up towards Deku, taking the attack as there actually is where he does go to bring back his fist, punching Deku across the face as hard as he can. Before Deku, after being put on the back burner and trying to get away from his uncle, he does actually get tripped up. Deku falling down to the ground as Ryan, he's directly standing on top of him, punching and punching Deku. Eventually he does let go with his left hand, and he does go to bring back his other arm to go to attack. Now, as it does actually happen, you do actually have where Deku does open one of his eyes, and he does actually activate the technique he has been trying to avoid. the removal. Now, the moment Deku did actually go to bring up his hand, he immediately went to grab for his uncle's fist, as he'd actually go to crush his uncle's fingers, before bringing up his other hand and directly smashing it right into his uncle's throat. As everybody in the stands and who are watching, they can feel that. Jesus Christ! Now, the moment Deku he actually has to go to someone to sit up and directly look at his uncle, he's only looking through one good eye. And Ryan he can tell that purple, something is going on with it. And, well, there's even his arm. Now, Ryan he does actually try to buckle it, smashing down as much as he can with a sledgehammer. However, it's not working. And there actually is whenever Deku does actually bring back his fist, telling his uncle that he asked for this. Now, Deku just punches his uncle as hard as he can, smashing right into his gut as Ryan does actually start to cough up blood. And Deku is going to pull back his hand and do it over and over and over again, before actually going to grab his uncle with his other hand by the side of the head, bringing his hand off of his uncle's throat as Ryan does take a deep breath before Deku is actually going to somewhat just slam him down to the ground as hard as he can. And he's completely changed the tide of the battle. Now, everyone they actually watches Deku whenever Ryan he's down, he actually has turned off his removal, and he is just staying there. The hoodie he was wearing was torn to pieces, and then there's the battle damage to his body. Along with that, there's the fact that his pants they're somewhat torn. Whenever he activated his removal or did that technique thing, what was it called? The thing where he just took that blow and he should have got the wind knocked out of him? It seems like his pants may have torn during that. Did he flex the wrong way or something? No, that's what some people they do think. And there actually is Deku's grandfather, who he does is look down at his grandson. Deku turning back to his grandfather as he does just somewhat smile. Now, he does see that Deku's arms they're covered in blood. And, well, yeah, that just happened. His grandson. He's the strongest kure. Now, he does somewhat just gonna smile as he does stand up. The moment that actually just happened, Deku actually is gonna bend down onto one knee, as his grandfather does jump down and gonna smash onto the ground. Him going to stand back up before walking over to Deku. Before he does gonna reach out his hand, and Deku he does actually go to bring up his right hand. Before Deku's grandfather does basically pull him onto his feet and inform him that Izuku Kure is the winner. Now, this is actually quite crazy to some people. The match was close, wasn't it? However, that thing he did, activating his removal, that wasn't normal, was it? No, it couldn't have been. So, what exactly did Deku just do? Now, many people are confused. And Deku, he doesn't want to admit it. But if he didn't use that technique, then he would have gotten actually pummeled. He would have lost. Now, there actually is whenever Deku, he does actually have his mother and sister come running up to him, along with his cousin. And they're all actually very surprised to see him. As Saki, she's very interested to see what Deku has learned. And Deku, whenever he does turn to see his cousin, she's actually a lot more... Well, she's gotten taller, that's for sure. And she's taken on a bit more of her mother's appearance. Except for those eyes. Those are the eyes of a trained killer. Now, Deku does then go to look towards his little sister. As from what he may understand, she, is around the age of a high schooler now? Deku, he's 19. And she should be somewhere like 15, 16 maybe? Deku kind of forgets. Now, whenever Deku does turn to his mother, she does actually ask exactly why he hid himself. Hmm? What are you talking about? I didn't hide. And what was that? What was what? What you did. Along with that, your hair. It's disgusting. Mom, this happened naturally. I don't believe that. Cut it. Mother. I can't. If I do, it won't be right. And exactly what does that mean? Mother, I'm done. I don't have to listen to you. I'm a full grown man. And if you can't accept that, well, then you really shouldn't be trying to give orders to me. Now, Inko, she does look annoyed. Every Kure, they at least don't have that white hair. So why does he? Why is he standing out? The only thing that makes a Kure stand out should be the removal. And really, it's kind of annoying her. Now, with that being said, a celebratory feast is thrown. And Deku, he's actually given a crown, quote unquote, and called the winner. As is announced that he'll be participating in the Kangen Annihilation matches. Now, with that being said, somebody was in the crowd, and they were very, very curious to know exactly what Deku just did. Izuku Kure is the name they were waiting for. If they can get a jump on this now, then it does mean a lot of good things can happen for them. Now, with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed, and have an amazing night. I'll catch you guys in the next part.